What up, Chipper Chaps? This is Chipper Chap Chat, episode 130. Yeah, that's the one.
130.
And this is a Chipper Chap episode where we're going to talk about a trailer that just dropped. We're also doing this episode really quickly after the last one because that dropped 6 hours after we posted the other episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh man, we should have watched the trailer again.
I just watched it in 4K.
For his
Yeah.
In any case, I am FooRay.
I'm Chamba.
And this is Adam.
Yay.
I need a better nickname, apparently. Don't think of something off the cuff.
Yeah, because it's going to stick. I don't want...
Stop it. Stop it. Let's be Adam. It's okay.
He'll be Adam. You'll see more of Adam as well later down. When I head down there, we'll probably record a bunch more, but in person, so no split camera type stuff.
I agree.
Yep.
But anyway, Spider-Man trailer that just dropped.
Teaser.
And what was the other two bits of news? It was the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the
Ghostbusters
first. Yeah. So just this came out of nowhere. Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman, who is he's directed a bunch of films. He just released a teaser of a new Ghostbusters film. And it's supposedly a third sequel, I guess. A third film for the original one. So it's not a sequel to the one that came out, last year? Was it last year? The old lady one?
Right, I think that was last year.
That was last year or the year before. But it's not a sequel to that. It's a sequel to the original one. So
right.
But then they've already got a release date, 2020. So
yeah. So and they said summer 2020.
Yeah. So that means they have to start filming now.
Yeah, they must already have a script and everything together. I'm curious about that though. I wonder how much of that is repairing the brand because people seem to crap on the last. You saw the last one, right? Did you not see it?
I did.
That's
why I was laughing. I mean, if literally your only experience with those movies was that one, if you're like a 12-year-old kid or something, and you've never seen the OG Ghostbuster movies,
right? If you have no attachment to it.
Right. I could see the appeal, I suppose. But for me, huge steamy pile. But the humor, for instance, felt real forced and didn't fit the mood of the film. I presume that you guys have not seen it.
Oh, I've seen it. I watched it in the cinema.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Did you like it? I don't remember.
I thought it was fun, but it wasn't necessary.
Right.
It didn't
they had cameos or something from some of the original people?
They did. They had each of them cameoed.
Okay.
As different characters, meaning...
But Ramis was already gone at that point?
He was gone. Harold Ramis was already gone. They had
I can't remember when he died.
He had a statue cameo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's confusing with this is they're fucking just kidding, third movie.
Right.
What about all those cameos? Bill Murray died. That was his evil twin. What?
Well, I mean,
I don't think it's going to be connected.
It won't be because technically the characters that they cameoed as in the actual the old lady one is in the old lady Ghostbusters. It weren't the characters that they were playing in the original one.
I have to point out, it sounds like you're saying old lady.
I know it sounds like I'm saying old lady.
All
female.
Obviously, I understand those characters are not supposed to be the Ghostbusters. I just mean it it's weird that we have the alternate universe Spider-Man thing is pretty well accepted at this point, but it's weird to see them be alternate universe Ghostbusters.
Right.
Woo! It's just such a weird thing. That's all.
This is also happening with RoboCop.
Yeah, I was gonna actually bring that up.
RoboCop that is a sequel to the old RoboCop.
Is it weird? Do you guys find it weird that they would do a sequel to basically the original one as opposed to the reboot? It's almost forget the reboot. The reboot was crap.
I don't think it's that weird, just because the reboot was not well received.
Right.
And if they want to repair the way that people are perceiving the brand of Ghostbusters, you go back to the thing that people like.
Here's the thing, though. Maybe just stop it.
They were gonna do like a Ghostbusters cross Men in Black thing at one point.
Right. That was an idea.
I think that could still happen. I think
I don't even know if those rights are still like owned by the same people.
I don't. Janet's upcoming Men in Black, is it a sequel?
It is. It does not erase the other movies.
Okay.
It's just another set of agents.
It's a new story
that are an international team.
So it's almost like you would. I guess it could be considered a spin-off.
Right, as a spin-off.
Would you guys prefer sequels like that? Say if the original cast don't want to return, but they wanted to do more stories. Would that make more sense to do spin-offs in this way, or just reboot it?
It very much depends. Like Men in Black, to me, it makes sense that because they have established there's other agents.
Sure,
with different
absolutely.
They do different things.
That
doesn't bother me.
There's for sure 26 of them.
Right. I understood that. Do they do double letters? Are there any double letter
I don't know.
agents or like numbers? Or
Who's QQ?
Yeah. QQ is QQ. I wonder, but I don't think it works the same with Ghostbusters because it was always established that those guys were the ones who came up with the
So would you have preferred if, say, the all-female one that came out 2 years ago, if that one was a spin-off? Or
Oh yeah, I always thought before the movie came out, because of how those early trailers were done, I thought that it was going to be like the Ghostbusters were too old to do it, and they had like sold off the branding.
Right.
Like, here's all the ecto packs and shit. Like, good luck. I would have felt like people would have accepted that cast way more.
Honestly, I think the whole thing was too cash grabby. Like, if they had really, because we've had conversations about this like ad nauseum, where you can take an idea and it seems like a decent idea, and they have a team of writers behind this IP or whatever IP, and you're like, why did they choose that direction? That's very strange. For this example, it would have made more sense to have the third one come out with them all being old asses or whatever,
and then do the spin-off after.
They can wrap it up, and then like they can do the end of that movie. They could do like an after credits thing where they're selling off the business. So like, I can't do this anymore. I'm Bill Murray and I'm 80 or whatever.
Right,
so, like,
I'm old. I hate this
anymore.
Right.
So then they sell it off, and then the fourth one is them figuring everything back out again as a new team of people. I just think that there were some questionable choices, to say the least. Some questionable choices around the movie where, like, obvious things that even if you're not like a hardcore Ghostbusters fan, you look at them and you go like why did they do that?
Right. Yeah. I think it seemed like if you're gonna reboot the Ghostbusters, what do you do? It's like, well, people liked Bridesmaids. What if we get the Bridesmaids guy? It's like, well, that seems like a good place to start.
And that's honestly, you saying that sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah, but I also feel like that would have worked better had they made a movie like Bridesmaids, like a rated R comedy where they were allowed to be raunchy and stuff, instead of like holding them back to the PG.
They're trying to silo it into a PG-13 movie,
right?
And like,
I don't think his humor works for that,
right? Because they had like queef jokes and stuff.
Yeah, weird.
Which like, when you're
spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry.
You were really like, saving that one.
It's because you're going into it and you know kind of what the movie's gonna be like, right? Because it's PG-13. You're like, oh, like how bad could it be? And then that stuff happens, and you're like, oh,
right.
This feels weird.
Yeah, that's like, wait,
past the edit.
Yeah, it just
that's exactly it. It's like, how did that pass?
All right, I don't know.
It's just like you said,
you get as much as you can in there.
Right. It's like you said though. It's like, if that's what you want to do, fine, commit to it.
Right.
Do that thing.
I felt like that's kind of what happened with Suicide Squad too. So it was like you start off with a thing, and then you get like scared, and then you can't commit to the dark version. So you go like, well, what can we do in the edit?
Right.
And that was
and that was a lot. They did a lot in the edit.
They did.
Yeah. That film was edit essentially.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how like the whole industry seems like they all get obsessed with whatever their release date is.
Yeah.
So, they go, this is our date. we got to make it around this time, like summer 2018 or whatever.
Right.
And it's going to take us a year and a half to make this movie, or 2 years. We got to get it done, bada bing. So what happens is they get to a certain point, and then they're like, well, the story doesn't make sense. It's not testing well. And the executives are like, just get it done. And they throw money at it and edit it, blah, blah, blah. And they just try to get it out, and it's forced, and it doesn't work. It's crazy to me as a person, a thinking person, that I can look at these IPs and go, like, why did you do that? Like, I'm not a professional. I'm not an industry person.
None of us are.
Average Joe.
Right.
Really as average as they come. And it's just mind-blowing to me that some of the choices that they make with this stuff.
It's just high-stakes gambling, man. And
You're right.
somebody bet
it really is.
The bridesmaids.
But the thing is, like, check it. With a lot of these films, you know how there's like, they go, oh, there's a bunch of rewrites. We have to do reshoots. And I'm like, why don't you just, if you're all already agreed on a story at the beginning, just go with that.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the result's going to be, just go with it.
Yeah, commit to the vision.
Commit 100% to it. Don't be like, oh, we have to pick up the pieces. Like Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I really want to know what that means.
Really do.
You know, I really hope that series that John Schnepp was starting comes to fruition somehow. He's this director. Did you ever hear of Death of Superman Lives? What happened? It was a documentary series. It was a documentary movie that they did about the Superman Lives movie that they started that didn't finish production. The one where Nick Cage was going to be Superman.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be directed by Tim Burton, and Nick Cage has like long hair and like an electric costume that has like a bunch of lights and
there's photos and everything.
That documentary, dude, it's fascinating.
Yeah. The documentary is amazing because you get to see everything behind the scenes of what was going to happen, but it's like a failed project, really.
Brainiac was the villain in it. There was supposed to be like a giant skull ship with spider legs coming out of it. I think that was played by Malkovich.
Yeah, something like that.
It was going to be a bizarre movie.
It was going to be insanity.
So, you know, that happens all the time where movie projects get picked up.
Sure.
They get pushed all the way through production, and then they just go nowhere. And so he was putting a series together based on that documentary he did, going into other movies. And I'm pretty sure the Justice League movie that George Miller was going to direct was on there.
Could you imagine that? I'd love to see what
you
that
saw
would
the
have been
costume.
like. Yeah, I know. I'd love to see what that film would have been like, because I know it's like, oh, George Miller would have been great. And I'm like, yeah, and then he made bloody Fury Road.
Right. But in Fury Road was excellent, but that took him a long time to get to Fury Road. Not everything he made was that. He was doing like kids movies before that, right?
He Happy Feet, man. He made like
Happy Feet, right?
But check it, like Happy Feet's a great film.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just not automatically what I would associate with. Oh, he'll crush Justice League.
Oh no, that's true. That's true. But the thing is, I'm like, there's a lot of these projects. They come, you know, they start off, but then like they just get canceled. I'm just curious to see, like, just if you're gonna start off with an idea already, just go with it.
Yeah.
You all agreed upon this. Don't change it after, because it's like, oh, they're afraid. The studios, the producers are afraid that it might not do. I'm like, well, you all agreed at the start.
Right.
I have something to add on to that, but first, before I forget, I do hope that the next George Miller movie is like from the mind that brought you Fury Road and Happy Feet. Just to confuse everyone.
They need to do that.
But yeah, like what you're saying, it's like, you know, when we were kids, like, this is how we knew movies were coming out. Hey, here's a trailer. Here's the date.
Yep.
Like, or a poster. Or you'd be like, I saw a poster on the movie.
Exactly.
You gotta be excited about that poster for another year and a half.
Right. And you know, or maybe it wasn't even a date. Maybe it was just like summer, like whenever, right?
Yep.
So, or coming soon.
Yeah,
you know?
that's all it really is. I remember just everything that said coming soon, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch that.
Right.
And I didn't see nothing. I get we're in the information age where, you know, you can get anything whenever you want, right? And like, or at least you can go to IMDb and like, oh, this is in production. Like, I know this movie's going to be coming out.
Right.
And that's fine. But I do think there's something to be said about, like, put out your finished product when it's finished, you know? And it's really everything. It's not just movies. It's video games. It's all this stuff. But like if the public wants it, they're willing to wait, you know? It's not like we can be like, oh, if you don't put it out by December 2019, I'm just not going to watch it. Like,
You know,
no, that doesn't happen.
to bring it
At least
back
not me.
again, though, based on that, a lot of that is, again, it's the betting. Because
Sure.
they have to buy a date out, and they're putting up their movie against other shit. And they're going, okay, what's coming out this time that we think we can beat with our movie that costs this much?
Sure.
We think the Ghostbusters Bridesmaids thing's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it out here. It's our best shot. And then sometimes it's not. You know?
I understand that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I get the whole, betting game. I understand. But at the same time, if an audience doesn't know what's coming,
Mm-hmm.
and then like 2 months before your movie comes out, you're like, it's in, post, we're like, we're wrapping editing, then you start your heavy marketing campaign, or at least do a teaser way on or whatever,
Right.
and then push at the end when you have a product that's solid.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm sure it's not just attributed to sticking to a date and committing to that, but I do feel like a lot of the better movies are probably not rushed or held to the same sort of scope of time, and they have enough time to actually work on them. Obviously there's some that are going to break that as an exception, but I don't know. I feel like you rush a product to market, it's going to fail. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not just movies.
Right. It's true, but it's also like they sign on going like, all right, I'm paying you this much. You got to make this thing in this amount of time. That's your job,
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, but
It's tricky.
It gets us in rough spots where like the New Mutants trailer came out. That I don't know if we'll ever get that movie now. Like movie was supposed to come out April of last year.
And also for a while, that Dark Phoenix film was like up in the air in terms of release.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm still not convinced that ever comes out.
I don't care. But to me, it makes no difference because I've already lost all faith.
We know we're getting new X-Men soon.
Exactly. So that's why I'm like,
they do like a real thorough end to that story, I don't see what the point is. Yeah. I feel like that movie's gonna do doo-doo when it hits theaters.
Actually,
dude,
there has been talk about early screenings about that film, and people are comparing it. I think people are comparing it to like Suicide Squad.
I mean, that's never good.
No.
Not to derail you one more time here.
Yeah.
But here's the thought. With the whole gambling thing, doesn't it make more sense to bet more money on something that's a sure bet?
What's a sure bet?
I'm not saying anything's a sure bet necessarily. But my point is, like, instead of going, we have $4 billion for production this year, let's put out as many possible movies in those release dates as we can to get audience to go see them. Because the margins for what's successful and what's unsuccessful these days is real slim. They write these things off before they're ever released, right? Like sometimes.
I think some of them, yeah, absolutely.
This is definitely going to be a piece of shit, and we're going to put it in like a February 1st release date, and then not market it, and then it fails, and people go, "Oh, I didn't even know that movie came out."
Yeah.
My point is like, doesn't it make more sense to take more care and release less things and make sure those things are successful instead of the opposite? Obviously not, I guess.
I know it does make sense from our perspective as consumers.
Right.
To them, though, they go, no, why would we do that?
Yep.
We're going to put out the content that we're putting out because that makes us a certain amount of money. That's making all of us live fat, so keep making the movies as much as you can with this amount of money. I want this one, this one, this one. Superheroes are big. Make a bunch of that shit. Let's buy a universe. What's Valiant doing? So that kind of, I just feel like it's impossible to push back. Sure. That's why certain studios are like that. So you'll get like Lionsgate or something like that, where they'll invest like in a lower amount, but they'll make something that's better and they'll take their time or whatever. But big production houses, they're on schedule. They got numbers to hit, kind of stuff. And some stuff does get like pushed. Like that happened to Underworld, the Underworld franchise. Like they started going, well, people aren't going to see these. Let's just push these towards February. And that used to be the dumping ground. What actually changed that was Deadpool and Black Panther. Because then big companies were like, other people are putting their doo-doo there. So put something good there, because then they have no other options.
Right.
So it worked for Deadpool, and it made gangbusters. And then Black Panther, they obviously did that for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Black History Month.
And that worked out. That worked out for them.
Yeah, and that worked out great for them. So now February is starting to turn around. January is still doo-doo month, though. There's nothing but Garbo coming out right
Honestly,
now.
I feel like they should start release, like, just spread it out.
Yeah.
What's the fear of spreading it out? It's like, oh, it's not a good month for films. Like, why? He's like, no one goes to the cinema. It's like, yeah, because everything you release is garbage.
Yeah.
That's why no one's going to go. But if there's something decent, I'm sure people are going to go to the cinema.
I don't think that they know always that they're going to be garbage. Just some of them turn out garbage and they get pushed to February.
How much of that do you think is like the fault of the executives, like putting their hands in where they don't belong?
Some of it is that, because in Hollywood, a lot of people fail upwards. You know, a lot of producers are like former hairdressers and shit. So, you know, it's just who has the money to be
it's the money, man.
Do that one.
Yep.
And sometimes those are poop house. That's why DC keeps like reactionarily changing all the stuff they put out, because
I love it.
Nobody's liking it.
I love it though.
Somebody quick hit a button.
I love it. I love it how it's like
he made fucking Avengers, don't fix it.
Yeah, it seems like such a mess. I don't know how anything gets done there.
I really don't.
For sure, there's like 16 Warner Brothers executives whose jobs are just, if something doesn't smell right to you in a DC movie, go just put your foot in whoever's ass until it gets changed.
Right.
For sure, there's like a team of them. There's got to be.
Of it. It
feels so disconnected from everything.
I feel like they're trying a different thing now, obviously. Like, because Wonder Woman works, and they had a more heroic, lighter tone to that movie. There was still a lot of grit and Zack Snyderisms left over, but they're
washing that off, man.
Yeah, they got a new tone, and with Aquaman, you could see it. You could visually.
Aquaman is the first $1 billion DC film.
Exactly, and I think it being a film where you can see the colors of the characters and shit helped just in the marketing, because you could go, "This is a movie about Aquaman. I recognize the characters from Aquaman," so they go and see it because it's representative of that.
Shazam's coming out this year, and that looks all bright.
I'm really curious how.
I'm gonna watch that. That looks fun.
What do you think about Shazam so far from them?
So, as a layman,
yeah,
I don't know shit about Shazam.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, oh, that looks fun.
Yep.
That looks like it could be entertaining. You know, it's sort of lighthearted. We can swear on this, right? I'm not going to get like manhammered or something.
No.
I don't necessarily give a shit about the guy who's playing Shazam.
Yeah.
I think he works well enough because he's relatively unknown. Like I would put him at like a Chris Pratt level when Chris Pratt did like Guardians, right? Like where people knew about him.
Yep, that's a good spot.
You mean as far as his visual relevance?
Well, visual relevance and who actually knew about the guy. Like people have seen Chuck. I've seen an episode of Chuck.
Right.
I know who the guy is, but I'm not like, this guy's gonna be great. Like I don't really know.
But that was the same as Chris Pratt when like he just came off of Parks and Rec.
Right.
Chris Pratt is probably more popular in that regard.
Oh, absolutely.
Parks and Rec was bigger.
Yes, absolutely.
But Pratt showed up and he was no longer doofy Chris Pratt. He was big hunky Chris Pratt.
Sexy man.
Zachary Levi showed up and they made him work out and shit, but he still looks like a doofy dude.
Yeah, he still looks like which I think works for the character that they're trying to portray in this film.
It only works for me because I understand the Tom Hanks reference.
Yes, I like that.
If you're making it's big as a superhero movie, I get why you would go for a Tom Hanksy guy. I still think like you couldn't have gotten better than like 90s era like Patrick Warburton.
Oh, he would have been perfect though.
He would have been
like
go to
as a kid. You're like, oh, there's Shazam.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't know who they could have gotten that would have been better for me. I still feel like there could have been a better choice.
I'm sure there could have been. I'm really sure they could have been.
Like honestly, had The Rock not said, "I want to be Black Adam" instead, because they gave him the option,
Shazam,
and he picked Black Adam. He wants to be that character.
He should have picked Shazam, dude.
I could have easily seen
he should have picked Shazam.
He's got the goofy bravado too.
That's
Right.
why, and he's charming as heck.
Dude, he wouldn't have looked dumb if they put a muscle suit on him. You know, it's over a huge guy.
Yeah,
Right.
they wouldn't have put a muscle suit. His suit would have been just to smoothen out sections.
No, but look at even Henry Cavill. He was swole.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
I don't know, man. I just think there could have been better choices, and it seems like a waste to me because they got The Rock to play Black Adam, but
he's not even in this
movie.
Yeah, he's not even in this. I don't know.
It just seems like a weird way to go, but we'll see how that turns out. I'm hopeful. It seems like it will be cute.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I mean, it looks like it's a fun film, and the trailer's doing it.
I think you kind of nailed like exactly what my expectation is. I didn't look at it and go, "Oh man, I gotta see that shit right now."
Right.
But I looked at it, I was like, yeah.
When's the release date for that? Is it April?
I know it's sometime soon, probably April.
It sounds like an April film.
But speaking of which, let's get on to the poop to scoop here.
Yeah.
That
April
Spider-Man 5th. Trailer. April 5th.
Nice.
Spider-Man Far From Home trailer
Far From Home teaser trailer dropped.
It sounds like it's a slightly edited down version of what they got at the Brazilian Comic-Con. So I actually want to get your opinion on it first, because when I watched it with him, I came to my conclusion on how this was going to go pretty immediately, but you didn't have that reaction. So how do you feel about the trailer from what you had seen of it?
Not really. I mean, I know it's like a teaser sort of,
right,
but not really anything happened.
Yeah.
Like a couple things happened. We're like, oh, cool. Like obviously the big one is the reveal. Mm-hmm. Are we doing spoilers for a trailer, or are we doing
anything that they show in the trailer we can talk about?
Do it, right? Leave me alone.
No, that's cool.
So the big reveal is obviously Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
Yes.
Which, hearing it beforehand, I was like, that's weird. And seeing it on screen, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, fine. Mm-hmm. Fucking, we had Joker, whatever. No one thought that was going to work. I don't know. It seems fine. I definitely feel like what we saw of the action bits that mattered were like probably 5 minutes of the movie, right? Like the entire weird elemental guy who keeps changing forms scene and Mysterio, I think that probably happens within a 5-10 minute scope of the actual movie.
Okay.
I think that's a very, very narrow part of the movie, probably towards the beginning.
And also, in your opinion, you think it's one guy changing into different elements?
I think so. But I don't know anything about.
Be right back, guys. I gotta do something just quickly.
Well, as far as I am, I mean, they've been calling them the elementals.
Did you pause it?
No, they've been calling them.
Stop calling.
In the when they did the Comic-Con, they kind of interviewed them or whatever, and they used the word elementals, which is like apparently a reference to some super old characters that were element based. I also don't think it's going to be that. I think it's kind of a ruse. I think it's a red herring.
When it first appeared on camera, it looked like Sandform or whatever. At first, I was like, "Fucking what?"
Sandman?
Yeah, I thought it was Sandman.
Right.
But then you see him in like water form and all. I was like, okay, never mind.
So when they show, right before they show the water guy, they show the characters on like a gondola.
Water dude,
wet boy. Right before they show that dude, they show them on a gondola, and I saw ASM like 212 or 121 or something on one of the other boats. And anytime you see ASM and anything Spider-Man related and a number, it's a reference because it's Amazing Spider-Man issue blah. Mm-hmm. And so I just typed that into Google to be like, what is that? And apparently that, I think, was one of the first appearances of Hydro Man. So I am wondering if what they're going to do is they're setting up some sort of like homages to characters that we're probably never going to see the real versions of in the MCU. Like, we're not going to do Sandman, so let's have a Sandman-like elemental guy show up.
Somebody said online that there's a team of these Marvel characters called the Elementals.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's a super old team though.
Yeah, very, very old.
Very much don't think that. I think that's just a reference for people to go, oh, that's a reference to a thing. I don't think it's going to be that.
Yeah.
And they showed a lava guy or like some sort of fire dude, and it looked like in one scene he was melting, and you could see like a structure underneath it. And it's a movie about fucking Mysterio.
I know. It's almost like let's add every piece together.
Yeah, and which is fine because these movies aren't for me. They're for people that are watching these current movies where, one, they've never seen Mysterio in any of these Spider-Man movies. Two, they've never seen a live action version of the character before, so they've never gotten his origin, you know. And if they're gonna make old references, one of the oldest references with Mysterio is he did pretend to be a hero and set up a bunch of stuff in order to make himself look good or whatever. And he went after he said he was going after bad guy Spider-Man, but the bad guy Spider-Man was bullshit he made up.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what the trailer looked like to me.
Right.
So, but I know this much more than your average person about it. So,
I think they did it well with like they showed. Okay, so I saw someone say that it kind of pulls the steam out of the movie if you show Gyllenhaal without the bubble head, and I'm like,
does it though?
They were like showing him without the bubble head is not the mystery of the movie.
Yeah, it's not.
They're gonna make Spider-Man and Mysterio like buddy cop through Europe, and they're going to make them like friends from work, like Hulk and Thor were under Fury. The mystery is how does Mysterio convince Fury to go along with it? That's what's my thing is, because I call shenanigans. I just feel like if it's illusions and crap, Fury should be one of the guys who should be able to see through that. So it's got to be more complicated than that. I just feel like there's no way it doesn't end as Mysterio wanted to. I don't know what his motivation is going to be for the why, but it seems like Mysterio wants to be looked at as a hero. So he sets up these elaborate things where he's causing real destruction with them. And he's putting real people in danger so that he can show up and stop it and look impressive. And I think that's going to be the conflict, is Peter finding out that his friend, who he's now made friends with for the whole movie, has been setting up all this crap to begin with. And then he's going to have to take him down. But Mysterio's stuff that he uses is making like physical things happening. They're not just holograms.
Sure.
So I kind of feel like the water elemental, the sand elemental, the fire elemental, or some sort of robot or some crap that can do these things. And it seems like all the stuff, like when he shows up to fight Hydro Man, he's got like glyphs and shit going, like Doctor Strange,
which look cool. His costume looked great too.
Cool. They look rad.
Special effects.
Yeah, but I feel like it's designed to look like Doctor Strange and stuff.
Do you think though? Because do you think because we know of the character and the abilities and such that this film feels predictable now?
It does, but I'm saying like you have to look at it not from a like, oh, how am I going to be able to go along with this knowing that I know where it's going to go?
Sure.
Like, for example, Spider-Man PS4. I feel like it's been long enough now.
Spoiler alert.
So, spoiler alert, sort of, for Spider-Man PS4 is there's a villain that you meet before he's a villain. And so the whole time that you're playing the game, you know that is not going to end well. But you have to go along with, right now, he's not that.
Right.
So I feel like in this movie, even if we know that Mysterio, it's probably him doing it and all this other stuff, if it's the origin of that character and we haven't seen his origin, then the truest thing to do is to show that scenario, even if we know how it's going to.
Sure.
We've got 60 years of history. The 10-year-olds that are going in do not. So they get his actual origin, and that's cool.
So my thoughts on that are, like, when they show the elementals and stuff, it's too generic for MCU, I feel like, at this point. That's why I think it's something early on in the movie. I think they're going to do something. I think it's going to be kind of exactly what you think it's going to be. Yeah. But I think they're going to do that in a way where they resolve that early enough on in the movie where they can be like, here's all the shit the fans kind of know or expect are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can kind of get on with it.
I hope you're right, but I super don't think you're right.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be globetrotting to different locations. Each location is going to have a new monster they have to fight. Mysterio is going to be buddy cops with him the whole movie, so that when you get to that third act fight, it's painful that he has to fight his friend. The only thing that sucks about that to me, other than like knowing it's going to happen because I've read Spider-Man comics before, is that I feel like it's almost too similar to what we're going to get in Captain Marvel. Like, I feel like it's very much like, here's your friend that you think is your friend, and now he's not your friend, and he's the person you have to fight.
It's almost like at this point, I kind of hate that I know enough of the Spider-Man lore.
Right.
Going into this film.
You have to keep in mind.
Right.
Anymore.
Yeah, I know. I totally get that. They're not entirely making this for us. I mean, it's like, oh, here's a character, enjoy it. But it's
whatever.
Like, we're trying to get new guys.
Yeah, you say it's not for you. You guys are going to go watch it like 8 times.
Oh, I'm watching it.
No, I mean, it's for the twist of the movie.
Yes.
Right.
The movie, obviously, it's for general audiences, and we'll enjoy it. I'm sure we'll love it. But I mean, that kind of character twist with a character like Mysterio, who's like a solid member of the Sinister Six, who's been around for as many years as he has. Obviously, older people who have now had all that history and time and the 90s cartoon series, all these things, we know, but we're now past that. Now we get to enjoy with them, but it's not for us in the same way. But also, I wrote something on Facebook earlier where I was saying I almost wish that for that Disney Plus service they could do like a Spider-Man series in between the movies.
I wish
where you see just the neighborhood Spider-Man aspect, because then it isn't just like him in between the times where he does something huge. It'd be nice to see the neighborhood part, and then that way you get history. Like, it's cool that we get Mysterio's origin, but it sucks that we don't get to see the character outside of that, because they're not going to just go right to Mysterio again.
Yeah, they're not. Unless they'll have like, during the film they'll show his backstory.
Right, and so we won't get to like grow with him in that way.
No, that's not going to happen really.
Right, Spider-Man's thing to me has always been that he has kind of relationships with his villains, because he is constantly putting them back in jail and beating them up and crap. So he gets there and he has nicknames for them all and stuff like that. And we're not going to get that kind of sense of relationship with him, because like it was wicked that they could do that in the Spider-Man game, where they could go, he's been Spider-Man for 6 years already, so that you could jump right in with he has relationships with these people. And
that's why it's tricky.
That's why it would be cool if they could do the series thing, but I kind of wish that they would do at least some sort of time jump, so that you can go into this I'm fighting the Shocker again, but this is not the second time I'm fighting him.
Do you think that's why the Spider-Verse film worked?
Yeah, similarly to that, like the characters are established and there.
It's just he's a new Spider-Man.
Yeah, that hinged on there being a Spider-Man already in that universe.
Yes. Who was about, like, I think 6 years into it, right? Something like that?
Right.
Well, the way they handled it was so great. They're like, yeah, you get the deal, fucking Spider-Man or whatever. Like, they're like, you understand.
Right.
There's been a million of these already.
And that's what's so good about that film. It's like, you know who he is. You know who this one is. Here's an actual one which you're going to... So, he's new. It's new to him. But to you guys are familiar with it enough.
Right.
Just jump right into it.
So I don't know. I'm excited for it.
I am too.
But I also feel like I know where it's going. But my only thing is, again, I think the mystery of it is, how do they get FooRay to go along with it? And I have only one theory right now.
You gonna say it or no?
Yeah, sure. I heard casting rumors that Craven's brother was going to be in this movie in some capacity. Craven's brother in the comic books is the Chameleon. They didn't say the Chameleon's going to be in it.
So FooRay isn't FooRay.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think we mentioned this earlier, didn't we?
I just don't know if they would do something like that quickly after like Skrulls and stuff like that. If they would do some other.
How about if Chameleon is a Skrull?
That'd be interesting.
That'd
be an interesting twist on it, to have one Skrull that's stuck around as the Chameleon.
So I sort of figured that they would do something. I didn't know that about the casting. I sort of figured Mysterio would do something about
See,
Nick Fury's an illusion or
that
something.
was also a decent,
You know, it's part of his puppeteering or whatever. But I didn't know that about the casting. That actually makes more sense.
But I don't know for sure that character even makes the cut. But because remember before Homecoming came out, we heard like they cast the Scorpion and they cast blah blah blah, and you see them, but they're not them. They're just the human versions of them that are in that
Far
world.
Cry guy.
Yeah, because like technically they cast the Prowler, Miles' uncle. He's in the movie as Donald Glover, but we don't see the Prowler. We just see Aaron Davis or whatever as not that. So I don't know. It could be something or it could be nothing. We'll see when it comes out.
It could be post credits. It could be fucking anything, really, right?
But
I will watch it. I mean, the film looks. I want to watch the film. It looks fun.
I want it now.
Yeah.
I want all of them now.
Pretty soon, right? It comes out July.
Yeah, June, July, something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts, man. This film this year is going to be loaded. Every year's loaded with films.
Oh yeah, man.
Does Marvel have anything slated for the second half of the year? I mean, obviously July quantifies
we get a whole bunch all the way up until July. I don't know if there's anything after that because we get Infinity. We get second half of Infinity War. We get Captain Marvel and Spider-Man. I don't know if there's anything in the back half. Maybe not because of Star Wars.
Okay, maybe they're not.
Wait, does Star Wars come out this year?
Don't they have? Is
Christmas
Star Wars come out this year?
Usually they do a Christmas thing.
Is it coming out this year? So have they started filming it already?
I thought so. I thought the new episode comes out end of this year.
Yeah, because I think
because Solo came out last year.
Right.
I think when they announced, they first announced the new trilogy, they said it was gonna be like every 2 years.
Okay.
And then they had Rogue One and Solo in between.
So they've started. So based on that, if it's going to be released in the end of the year, that would mean that they should be getting into post-production soon, I'd assume. Within the next few months.
I heard they were filming.
Oh, that's insane. I didn't realize that was coming. It makes sense that they're coming out this year. I'm just like, have they even started filming?
Let me look. That's episode 9?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they're not announcing anything Marvel-related yet because they don't want to, like, hint or spoil anything.
Right.
Or 2.
Yeah, it comes out December
wow.
20th.
All right.
What's it called?
Just episode 9 right now.
Oh, Star Wars episode 9. It might be mediocre. Go watch it anyway.
I'm gonna go see it.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah.
I want to know how the hell they conclude this thing if it's really gonna be done. And especially because they kept saying for a while there was supposed to be Ryan Johnson was getting his own trilogy. And the Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones,
get a trilogy.
They're getting their own
a trilogy.
Yeah, so I'm like, if they're doing all that and they're outside of the Skywalker stuff, I'm really curious what that is going to be. I just don't know how much of that shit we're actually going to see. Like the only thing we're for sure getting
is the Mandalorian.
Is the Mandalorian, Jon Favreau's series, but that's also for Disney Plus, right? I feel like I'm going to end up getting that shit, man. I'm just going to wait until they have more.
I don't think Australia's getting it because I'm on a streaming service called stan.com.au, and they're getting all these Disney shows, Disney movies, Disney shows. So I'm assuming that because Disney Plus isn't going to go here, Stan is going to be the official distributors of all that stuff here. And I'm like, I'm all right, I'll take it.
If you do get hosed and that doesn't end up happening, you could always get VPN service.
Right, exactly.
Problem solved.
I know. But yeah, like I rewatched Infinity War on Stan, and I'm like, I've got the Blu-ray right here, but I'm like, it's on the streams.
This way, I don't have to put a disc in anything.
Well, yeah,
I don't have to walk the 10 feet to put it in.
Yeah, we have it's on Netflix here.
Yeah.
It came out on Christmas or whatever.
Right.
But
it's a good film, that one.
Right.
That film is.
I also think
film's heavy, dude.
Avengers: Age of Ultron gets unfairly shit on.
That one's excellent, dude. I rewatched that recently. It's excellent.
I agree. James Spader's performance as Ultron
he's so good.
Great, in my opinion.
He is so good. He was a great villain.
Hulk versus Hulkbuster fight was incredible.
Yeah.
There was something about the color in that film, though.
Yeah, because everything was like amber colored.
Yeah. It felt like
the actual film coloration.
The film coloration was almost like
it was all like amber colored. Like
it felt dull.
Yeah, because they wanted it to be like like more downplayed than the first Avengers, which was really bright and everything was so bright. And they were like, this one's a darker tone, so we're gonna physically like change it to make it look darker.
It didn't
so
ruin the film. It didn't ruin it. It was just like,
it was something we noticed where like it would have been cool to see this like pop a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
just pop a little bit.
I actually never noticed that.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect either way. Great film, that one.
Fantastic film.
Yeah, Spider-Man looks good. Let's watch it right now.
Looks good. But anyway, that was the last thing on our thing. So until the next one, guys, stay chipper chaps.
Stay chipper.
Finger guns.